In this Kotlin on Android development tutorial, we're going to show you how you can play your captured video using the Android ExoPlayer. Welcome to Mobile Application Tutorials. My name's Nigel. Okay, so in the previous tutorial we actually spent some time showing you how you could share the video URI from one fragment to another. And in that episode we also created a fragment and a fragment layout file for setting up a player. In this case it's going to be the ExoPlayer to do our video playback. Okay, so if I refer to this documentation here, it's accessible from my website. It's a free membership. You can sign in via YouTube. There will be a link in the description. And there is a reference here to another ExoPlayer tutorial as well. If I click on that, it also shows you how you can install ExoPlayer for doing video playback of streaming media, and the example media they use in this one is the dash URL, a dash media to play that back. Okay, and so this is currently, if we scroll on down here, we're on number 6 here, ExoPlayer doing the video playback. If you just want to do this tutorial and you don't want to do the previous episodes, I do recommend you do that. You can get the code from Git. The details will be going into the documentation prior to the release of this video. And for members who want to buy the camera2 API product, they also get a video explaining how to get the code from Git and how to get the code working on your project. So there is the option of just learning about ExoPlayer and just getting the code for that if you don't want to do the entire camera2 API series, which is quite comprehensive. Okay, so we are going to make a start. First thing we need to do, if I scroll on down here, is to add the ExoPlayer library to our Android project. And I have specified the current version 2.7.0. That will change over time because it's currently in very active development. If you do a search for ExoPlayer releases, you can I will highlight this link as well. This will show you the releases, and as you can see, the latest releases from 10 days ago on publication of, or on recording of this video. And so that is the version I'm using, but you may want to get the latest version. But here it will show you how you can install it. So I'm just going to copy this line here. Now bring in my Android Studio project. And I am going to want to go into our build.gradle file. Here. And at the bottom you've got the dependencies here. I'm just going to add this at the bottom, paste it in there, and you will need to do a sync. Sync's now completed. Now I want to add the ExoPlayer view to our fragment layout file. So I'm just going to open up this window. We'll show you how you can get to your layout files. Click on app, click on resource, click on layout. And it's a fragment underscore ExoPlayer is the layout file we want to use. And so we're just going to add that underneath there. And we're going to type, I want the player UI, player view basically. So it's com.google Android ExoPlayer 2.ui player view. And the width I'm going to set to match parent. And the height I'm going to do to wrap content, so this will help maintain our aspect ratio. And if I just go down here, remove this line, and I want to add an ID as well, and I'll just call this, let's just call this ExoPlayer view, so we can get hold of that in the source code. Now we're going to create an instance of the SimpleExoPlayer. So we will need to go into our ExoPlayer fragment Kotlin file. And there's a number of steps here to create our ExoPlayer. We can get away with creating everything by using the Kotlin lazy delegate feature. So we set it up and the instance will be created when we actually call it. So we'll set up the first one, we'll make these private value. And the first one will be the bandwidth meter. So this is how you can use a Kotlin lazy delegate. I sort of tend to use these throughout my tutorials. Okay, and so we can call the default bandwidth meter, call the constructor for that, and so that will return an instance of the bandwidth meter when we first call bandwidth meter, whenever that happens. Okay, now I want to create a track selection factory. And it's important that we set a value for that. Now we can call by lazy, and we're going to need to call the adaptive track selection factory in the constructor for that. And in here we'll need to pass in our bandwidth meter. Okay, I'll just scroll on down here, center this. Okay, we need to create another one which will actually be the track selection, and we'll get that from the track selection factory. So track selection, again it's another Kotlin lazy delegate, and this will be the default track selector, and in here we pass our track selection factory. And finally we're actually going to create an instance of the SimpleExoPlayer. And again, this is going to be another creating it using the Kotlin lazy delegate. Okay, so we're going to need to call ExoPlayer. So scroll on down here, we're going to select the ExoPlayer factory. And it's going to be a new simple instance. We're going to pass in the context of the calling activity here, and then it's a matter of passing in our track selection. And basically what we're going to need to do here is just call, when we're ready to start using our SimpleExoPlayer, we just call SimpleExoPlayer. And as you can see, by calling SimpleExoPlayer, it's going to call the track selection when it's creating its instance. And that's going to cause the track selection here to be called. And that will by creating the track selection instance, you're going to be actually calling the track selection factory, and so on. So it's a simple way of encoding, but also an efficient way of when we create our SimpleExoPlayer instance. Now we'll set up the MediaSource for our video URI. So I will create that just below here. There is a number of things we have to create. The first one will be the application name. Again, it will be a by lazy. And to get the application name, we're going to need to call the context, and it will have to be a safe call. Application info, safe call, then a load label, and inside the parameter there, we'll have to call the context again and get the package manager, and we'll have to set that to a string. Okay, once we've got the application name, we can set up the data source factory. So we'll call out data source factory. Again, this is going to be a Kotlin lazy delegate, so by lazy. So it'll get created when first called. Okay, for the data source factory, we need to call the default data source factory. And it's going to take two strings. One's going to be the context, another one's going to be a user agent, and we can use application name to help for that. So we'll call the context. Now I'm going to call the util get user agent, and this is also going to take the context, and we can pass in the application name. Now we're going to create our media source. And this media source is just going to represent a local file because we've actually saved it to our device. And the media source is basically going to represent, we're going to pass in our video URI. So we'll set that up now. And I'm just going to call this video media source. And again, this is going to be a Kotlin by lazy. Okay, and to create this, I'm going to use the extractor media source, which is basically like the default one supplied to you for playing local media. And we are going to call the factory, and inside the factory it does require a data source. Then underneath there we can call a create MediaSource method and pass in our video URI from the view model that would have been set up in the preview fragment, and we're basically doing a get here on that view model video URI just to set up our media source. We can now create functions to start and stop the media player. So I'll create a function and we'll call the start ExoPlayer. Okay, I want to call the ExoPlayer view, and we've got the controller auto show there. I want to turn that off. So you can just click on the ExoPlayer itself on the screen and it will appear, but I just don't want it. Currently sits quite closely to the navigation bar, so I'm turning it off for the moment. And now we'll call the ExoPlayer view, and we need to set the ExoPlayer to the ExoPlayer view by calling ExoPlayer view player, and now we can just call our SimpleExoPlayer. Okay, and now it's a matter of calling SimpleExoPlayer prepare, and it does require the media source which we set up before there as the Kotlin lazy delegate, and finally we can get it to start. So play ren ready, so once everything's configured, everything's done, we can set that to true, so autoplay. Okay, so that's the start ExoPlayer. We better add one for stop ExoPlayer. Okay, to stop ExoPlayer, we'll call SimpleExoPlayer stop, and we'll also need to call release as well. Okay, so we've got a couple of functions there to start and stop it. The place to call them will be in the fragment lifecycle, and we'll do that in the fragment lifecycle on start and on stop. So I'll just do that below here. So we'll do the on start first. And so it's just a matter of start ExoPlayer and do the on stop. And we'll just call stop ExoPlayer. Okay, so these should be the only changes. So proof of the pudding, so to say, is to record a video and then select our thumbnail icon, which we'll see if we can, which will start up this fragment and see if we can do video playback. The application's now started. I'm just going to do a quick record. White space, stop that. Now I'm going to click on the thumbnail icon, and this is playback happening now. And this concludes this Kotlin on Android development tutorial. Basically, we just implemented the ExoPlayer to run in the fragment, and the most of the work was done in preparation of the SimpleExoPlayer object instance, and we're also with setting up our media source, just preparing that so we can pass our video URI across to that. And we set up a number of Kotlin lazy delegate values just to get those in preparation. And then it was just a simple matter of setting our ExoPlayer to the ExoPlayer view itself, that's in the layout file, and then preparing the ExoPlayer, and then just we set it for auto start as well. And then we put the starting and stopping of ExoPlayer into the fragment life cycles on start and on stop as well, and that will work in nicely for the following tutorial where we implement picture-in-picture video. Anyway, so that concludes this tutorial. There's still some following on. Yes, we have a video picture-in-picture, and then we've got at least one premium tutorial as well, which will be doing the recording the front camera with video. Anyway, thank you for taking the time for watching this one. Bye for now.